Okay, you working?
hmm Yep.
Well, I'm Steve. I just want to say thanks to Pedro and Tarin for even hosting this event and even reaching out to someone like myself who is very quiet on the internet. So hopefully today's talk is something we can. Oh, it's not working. Sorry. Okay, so I'm a designer at PSA, the card grading company. I've always enjoyed making things, but I think I found software to be my favorite area to work in. You get to work a lot of creative muscles, branding, UI, UX, community building, list goes on. And then as of this last year, I tried to take it a bit more seriously. And this is right off of the wave of posts and read.cv, which was just I want to make things, I want to ship things online. So paid the good state of California to form a LLC, Internet Friends LLC, and for now it's just a independent studio where we build single purpose software. What is single purpose software and how do you build a presentation around something as mundane sounding as that? Um, I wanted to bring in a visual aid. The 2006 sports simulation game developed and published by Nintendo, Wii Sports. This game captures everything I love about making software, but I want to focus on two things, which is just simple design with personality. Wii Sports did a really incredible job at this. They leveraged a very tried and true method of taking something timeless and giving it new life. As designers, this gives us room to focus on things like aesthetic, simplifying UX, and identifying pain points, which is a whole lot easier said than done. Uh, like simplifying anything is the real game of product design, at least for me. The more you take away, the higher the stakes are for like the smallest details to really grab somebody's attention. Like the less that's on the interface, you got like a misaligned icon, a rough transition, loading time. Like these are the details that are the salt of the interfaces, and people can immediately tell when there's too much or too little. So how could something be too simple? Uh, like I've always considered myself a minimal designer, but with practicing and just years of always trying to like, oh, I'm just going to make a minimal interface, you quickly realize just how boring or unoriginal and stale minimal design can be, especially when it starts to sacrifice things like accessibility, storytelling, and just general fun. So that's where personality comes in. And for me, personality is the things, whether it could be a software or even physical projects, just the things that make people actually smile. And it doesn't matter how boring the product is. Having worked in uh, like companies like Zoom or even fintech apps where it's like about taxes, it's like you can take these really awful, not say awful products, Zoom's a wonderful product, um, but these really boring experiences and you could still add life to it. But it's really just searching for that emotional connection. For me, it's a lot about personalizing things, creating moments of discovery, and then getting people to use other senses outside of just visuals or just looking. Uh, I really love the Notion approach, which I'm going to call structured personalization. It's like freedom that still maintains a level of visual polish across the entire experience. I mean, they let you change fonts, they let you have like pre-made icons and colors, but for the most part, it keeps people on the right track. Now I have the me maker here because people will always find a way to break that structure, but they're still ultimately playing in the sandbox that you created. And then let's see, moments of discovery. These are what we would umbrella under the term delight. Um, but these are the things that you let users figure out for themselves, the Easter eggs. And probably what I like about these moments is there doesn't need to be a tutorial. Um, and because when somebody finds it for themselves, they feel accomplished. They have that sense of wonder. And then usually that's the things that people talk about. Uh, like when Wii Sports, there was no tutorial in tennis for how to do the smash when you're playing. And I remember picking that up as the eldest sibling and dominating. And my siblings are like, how are you doing that? And it's holding the A button and timing it just perfectly. When you get to the pro level in bowling, you get the star bowling ball. And it's little things like that. They didn't have to tell anyone. It just became part of the experience. And then as you went to friends' houses and you show them one cool move, you show them one new unlock, it just kind of spread from there, very word of mouth. Um, and then I talked about senses, which was like nowadays, haptics and sound design are pretty much an essential part of game design. I don't know how many of you have PlayStations, but the haptics are phenomenal. Like the controller itself is telling you so much during a game. Like my wife and I, we play Marvel Rivals together, and she would lose haptics mid-match, and she's like, I don't know if I'm doing anything. I felt she felt blind even trying to do her own moves. Um, and so that's I think it was the Wii remote that actually pioneered bringing sound into the controller. I know we had like handhelds before, but having the controller have its own independent sounds and vibrations was something really new uh, and exciting. Okay, and then to wrap up the Wii Sports pitch here, in the world of startups and more corporate design, these details often get I said knocked out of the ring. That was a good one. But there are moments where the stars align, PMs are on your side, and teams launch some really beautiful things. That said, this is probably the driving reason why personal projects are my favorite place to try and make something with a great personality because you have all the freedom in the world. And and that's why Internet Friends was born. So single purpose software, that's just sort of the umbrella term used across all the little landing pages. But to me, single purpose software is just something that is built to last a long time and does one thing really well. If I were to pull up more like physical examples, I would say like the iPod Classic, the Game Boy. It's like they just worked. The code was phenomenal. Uh, and then the product itself, like it didn't need constant updates. It didn't need additional features. And I will see post and post again about bringing back the iPod with like Apple Music support. Still waiting for that. But to briefly talk about, uh, I guess some of the products that Othniel was, I think he was here earlier. Othniel I worked on. The first one was called Moments, which was this was right after Post had shut down. Uh, Othniel and I had connected on Post, and we said, "Hey, let's try to do our own social network, not a professional community. We just wanted to make a really private thing for like friends and family, where I could feel like comfortable sharing pictures of my kids." Um, and it worked. I mean, my mom loved it. It was, uh, she shared a lot of pictures of the sunsets, and yeah, it was fun while it lasted. I think the problem we ran into very quickly was like this is where it became very boring. There was no stickiness. It wasn't, it wouldn't scale or even be self-sustaining at that point. Like why charge people to go onto a platform where you're essentially in a group chat? So that just didn't feel right. And then, I mean, the goal too isn't to be making money. Like we never wanted tons of ads. We don't want short form video and infinite scrolling. Um, but we were still hoping to capture some sort of community. So we pivoted to a more public facing creative community. That's what currently is Garden. Um, and even that was pretty boring for a while. Uh, and right now we're just enjoying adding maybe one or two features very slowly. But it wasn't until I think it was you, Pedro, you had posted, you were like seeds. And that single post started a little thread where Othniel and I started just randomly adding seeds, like watermelon seeds and avocado seed. Um, and that moment was more fun than the entire app had been up until that point. So like, okay, prompts are fun. Let's try to make that part of the experience. And so far, that's where it's landed. And then the second app over here, Note. Anyone could build Note, and this is to anyone who has Figma files that have just been stuck. Like Note was a is an infinite text box, a persistent keyboard, and that's it. I use it all the time. I used it to write this presentation, but it was the first time where I got tried to leverage like vibe coding and all that. Uh, if anything, the problem with Note, I had the concept. It was like two screens. It's just a keyboard and a text box. Had two screens. The app icon actually took longer um, to make, and it just sat in the file for months. But pretty happy with that one. Let's see here. Okay, but now I actually wanted to talk about the latest project, which probably aligns closest to Wii Sports because it's also a game. I'm currently working on this one with my younger brother, um, and I mean, we grew up very 90s games. I grew up obviously with Nintendo, GameCube, Game Boy Advance. And so we wanted to try to capture that Nintendogs, Animal Crossing kind of feeling, like a game. We wanted it to be hand drawn characters, more ASMR style sound design, and then tons of personality. So originally we called it Meow, and it was a game about cats that bring you stuff and talk to you. This later evolved into Animal Friends. All these names were very pending. But Animal Friends, same concept, but now it had frogs. And then at the time we had a working build, a cast of characters. Um, but after a few months, we realized we were really bad at writing bits because if you rely on being genuinely funny, I feel like you realize just how unfunny you are when you're trying to write. Like that bear over there was a 36-year-old who wanted you to teach him how to swim, and it just wasn't an artistic direction we could really scale or continue on. Um, so that was challenging with any game design is figuring out the mechanics, and for us, writing was probably the biggest creative roadblock. Uh, and so one day I was like, hey, Brent, what if we turn it into a meme maker and let the youth write their own bits using our characters? And he said, that is an awful idea, you tasteless millennial. Then then I said, okay, what about a word game or like one of the match three ones? And what if we could Crossy Road word games? Because Crossy Road, I don't know if you remember it at the time, they had taken Frogger and just they added their own art style onto it, added a whole bunch of characters, turned it into a gotcha style game, and it developed a huge following. I mean, I believe the stats they had done about $3 million in ad revenue alone in the first 3 months. And I mean, yes, I love building. Yes, I love making things that don't have ads, but I also would love to retire with my family on a farm in Iceland. So taking that sort of like, okay, let's take that old timeless classic of a word game and try to add all the life that we were working on before. And that has turned into what we're calling Hello Word. Um, and then here's just a quick recording of our current test flight. And the concept's pretty basic. You have character, And there's a lot of working sketches that we're on, but the mechanics were pretty straightforward. You make a word, the character does something. Um, and we played around a lot with the variables. Like there were characters that, depending on the word length, they would do different animations. But we found, oh, it's pretty loud. Here's a knitting spider that my daughter had come up with. And the faster you make words, the faster it knits, which is chaotic, but we enjoy it. Um, yeah, there's been so much balance on keeping it simple, but making sure that it has that life. And my brother would probably be the biggest. He and I go back and forth the most on just what that looks like. Because, I mean, you see here it's black and white. That alone is a huge limitation when it comes to making a game. Like kids expect colors. If you show a kid colors in a black and white character, like I like the one with colors. Um, if you decide, okay, well, we're either going to go hand drawn or we're going to go more vector um, hard lines. We're going to do one animation that loops for every word you make, or we're going to do a different animation for the different amount of letters in the word. Those have just been the most fun to test. And I think right now we realize that if we can get a character to do something that makes you chuckle or like, the little sniff, um, if it's enough to do that, that's all you need. You like we had I think we had a turtle and he was doing backflips, thumbs ups. It's great. It's a great looking character. Um, but even after all that work we put into the animation, we were still enjoying this silly little clapping dog that would just clap faster when you made words. And so, let's see, to wrap it up, whatever the project is, I think the process and getting into this process has been the most enjoyable part. Um, and working as many different creative muscles as possible because it's really easy to get stuck in Figma and just only focus on UI design. But Garden's been a really fun exercise in community building. Note was a really fun challenge for building my own like personal tool. I don't care if anyone else uses it, but when you build your own personal tool, uh, it can be really fun. And then with the Hello Word, just making art again, drawing has been like drawing, even animating has been extremely rewarding. And it had been a long time since I sat down. Like I remember making comics as a kid. Um, but yeah, being able to do that again and pair it with everything I've been learning over the years from the world of product design has been really cool. But take all of that, and then I think the lesson I've really been enjoying more over the years is making things you're passionate about slowly. Uh, there, there's never been a deadline for any of these projects, and I guess our goal is always just to launch when we felt good about it, uh, which isn't. You won't find this on LinkedIn, but to me, it's like we have enough of that at our day jobs. And I think the last thing you want to do is try to ship something out there just to say you launched it. So yeah, Hello Words in test flight. We'd love to get it out by this year, but there's absolutely no rush on that whatsoever. Um, and then for me, it's like the moment you can realize your creative energy isn't there, you just set down the Wii remote, close the laptop, uh, go outside. But yeah, that's been a huge uh, I guess, healthier way of working than what I used to do when I was an early designer. So look through your old files, notes, or sketches, find that simple idea that might benefit from a fresh perspective. Uh, Try to make something beautiful, use the skills you have, and connect with people who inspire you. And try to make things that make you smile and make something like only humans can smile about. I mean, we're bombarded with AI tools and processes now, but hopefully you can enjoy the process just as much as I did. Thank you.